Hello, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. My name is LaKeesha Hines, and you are watching SOS, where I am saving our sex lives one bedroom at a time. How are you all doing today? What is going on out there? Please let me know where you're streaming from so I can shout you out. I'd love to do that. Good morning, actually, afternoon, Mr. Ben. Hello, hello. I am in this space of still spring cleaning. All last week we were talking about spring cleaning your marriage, and I was talking about spring cleaning your bedroom, spring cleaning your sex life, all of those wonderful things that take place in the house during spring is all this spring cleaning. So, I was talking to you about getting the cobwebs out of your bedroom and out of your sex life as well. And we're just going to continue on this week talking about some common issues that arise in relationships regarding sex. And so, if any of this resonates with you, let me know. Let me know. Drop a comment. If you have questions, put them in the chat. Please feel free to do that, and I will answer your questions. But right now, let's go ahead and dive right in. Again, we're talking about some of the most common issues that arise in the bedroom in your sex life. All right. So, number one issue, and this is not necessarily in order of significance or importance, like this is the number one issue or number two issue or whatever. It's just I'm giving you top issues that come up over and over and over again in counseling sessions. So, first one is a wandering mind. Wandering mind. You know, most times it is the female client who's saying that they are often really distracted as it pertains to sex, like when they're in the moment during sex. But it happens to men too. It's just statistically, women actually report that it happens to them most often, especially moms, those women who are moms, because there is so much pressure surrounding parenting, and it can get in the way of any thoughts that you may be having sexually. So what do you do then? What do you do if you are preoccupied with schedules? And it's not just children, it could be work, it could be so many different things that are interrupting your sex time together. Then scheduling. I've talked to you about that multiple times. Scheduling sex may need to happen because there are times where we just get so busy, so caught up in everyday life and everything that we have to do. And we have a list of things that we have to get done. And many, many times, sex is not a top priority if it even makes it on the list at all. So scheduling sex makes it intentional, and it ensures that it happens. And just because you're scheduling sex doesn't mean that it has to be boring and routine. What you're doing is setting aside a specific day and time to be able to connect intimately and sexually with your partner. You are not scheduling what is actually going to be done, what you're actually going to perform or do. You are just setting aside time to be able to connect and be intimate with your partner. You can do something different every single time you schedule sex. So I don't want you to think that just because you're scheduling it that it has to be boring. All right. So here's the thing. When you know something's going to happen, you literally may do a better job at adjusting to it. And again, it doesn't have to be the same thing that you're doing over and over again, right? You actually can do different things every time you come together, and literally, maybe you're incorporating toys, or maybe you try some new sex positions just to keep you present in the moment. Because I'm telling you, with some of these positions, you got to be focused. Okay. Like you can't just think you're going to ease into some of these positions. So that will keep your mind focused, just trying some new position, something that you haven't tried before, you because you have to make sure the positioning is right. You want to make sure that it feels good, that you're not uncomfortable, that it doesn't hurt, or that your partner isn't uncomfortable, or that they're not hurt. So you will have to focus when you're trying some of these new positions. Okay. All right. So next issue, the robotic man. the robotic man. Okay, what do I mean by that? So there's this rumor that has been going around for centuries, that guys are unfeeling, sex obsessed robots. And it's a rumor. It's a rumor because it's not true. But it's been going around for centuries, as I said, that guys are just unfeeling, sex obsessed robots, right? And it's not cool because it's really doing men a disservice. You know, when working with couples, men so many times feel like they are trapped in this idea that they are emotionless. And that is not true. The reality is, men are emotional, they just express their emotions differently from the way that women do. And so it's not that they lack emotion, it's just sometimes, ladies, we don't pick up on their emotions. We're not able to identify when they're emotional. We're not able to assign a specific emotion to a behavior. And so we miss it. We actually miss it, but it's there and it's been there all the time. So there's so many men that when asked, they will say that they like to feel closer in the bedroom as well as outside of the bedroom, but they just don't know how. So a lot of times they just need assistance. They need a third party to come in and help them be able to express their emotions. And then I have to work with the woman in the relationship to teach her how to make it easy for him, to make it easier for him to be vulnerable with their feelings as well as your feelings, right? So men can be affectionate. They totally can. And it's really about creating a safe space and a safe place for them to do so. And it's also about positive reinforcement. I will venture out here to say that there have been men who have allowed themselves to be vulnerable in relationships and they got some sort of negative feedback, and that deterred them from repeating that same behavior. What do I mean? Okay, so let's say a man decided to trust you with his feelings and his emotions, sat you down, talked to you about what he was thinking and feeling, and then you, even with your face, like, ew, that's what you're thinking? That's what you're feeling? Oh, you need to man up. You need to grow up. Oh my gosh. If he actually moved to tears and you respond with disgust, dissatisfaction, disappointment that he's actually emotional, then that can cause a man to put a wall up and be guarded and not trust you with his emotions. So let's say he's emotional. Let's say you didn't do that, right? Let's say you responded well in the moment, but 2 days later, 2 weeks later, you bring that back up and you throw it in his face and use it as a weapon against him. Again, that is something that would turn him off to expressing his emotions and his feelings. So we have to create a safe space for men to be able to share and express. And on the flip side, men, you have to create a safe space for your uh, female counterpart to be able to express and share as well. And no one wants to walk away from that situation feeling judged or feeling as if their feelings were not validated. You know, that's the biggest thing, is to validate those feelings, whether you agree with them or not. The validation is key to the repeat of that behavior and them sharing what it is that they're thinking and feeling. Good morning. It's all love. Good morning, Madeline. Hello, Aravind. And I see, Mr. Ben, you have put some comments here. So let's see. What do you do when your spouse knows they're not physically attractive to you? I don't say it, and still she says she can see it. It's true. And still there's no good way to talk and resolve it. Men being sex obsessed was just addressed by Psych Hacks by Orion Terabon here on YouTube. Awesome video. Prayers. Miss LaKeesha, sounds like allergy season hitting you there too. That's a whole nother conversation. Thank you for the prayers. I definitely appreciate it. So here's the thing: when your spouse knows that you're not physically attracted to them, that is not something that you can hide. I mean, it's obvious. A lot of times there is a physiological manifestation of that lack of attraction. So that's something that you can't hide. I think what's most important, and we've had this conversation before, is that you get to the root of where that attraction went. What happened, what changed it, what caused there to be a lack of attraction. And I understand that physical changes um, oftentimes take place, and that's what causes it. But the deeper issue for me is the emotional connection, the mental connection. And I talk about this all the time. There has to be connection in those four quadrants: mental, emotional, spiritual, as well as physical. And they're all connected and they're all related. You can be walking down the street and see the most attractive man or woman ever. Literally, you are salivating. They are so fine. And you get to know that person, and they suck on the inside. They're a horrible person inside. And that physical attraction that you have for that person may not totally go away, but the more you learn about that person and the more you find about them that you dislike, the less attractive they become. So, what I'm saying is, if there is no connection in those other areas, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, it's going to impact you physically. And what oftentimes happens is we put so much emphasis on the physical because that is the thing that we feel like that's the quickest that we can fix, that we can resolve. Just lose weight, just work out, just get more fit, and then I'll be more attracted. I'm telling you, that doesn't work. It's a good start. It helps, but it doesn't take away from the fact that there's still a disconnect in all of those other areas. So I'm saying what's most important is the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. Why am I saying that's most important? Well, because over time, beauty fades. That's all of us. I don't care how much you work out, how well you eat. Doesn't matter. Gravity is going to take over. Wrinkles will come. Sagging things will happen. And so, yes, now there's something we can do about it. I get that, but it's still over time, there will be physiological changes. And if that's where we're putting all the focus and the emphasis, we'll be right back at this issue 10 years down the road when literally nature takes over. So I'm saying, why not work on building up that mental, emotional, spiritual connection while still working on the physical, but putting more emphasis in those three areas, which are things that no matter what will not change. Nature won't take over with those things, but it will take over with the physical. So we can't put our focus there. So hopefully that helps. And if not, I know you'll let me know. You will let me know. So, guys, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll come back and we'll dive right back in to these common problems, sex problems that come up. Don't touch that dial. Don't go anywhere. You're watching SOS. Welcome back. Welcome back. You're watching the SOS show. My name is LaKeesha Hines, and today we are talking about the most common problems, sex problems, right, that come up in relationships. Working with couples, I have heard a lot of things. I can't say I've heard it all, but I definitely have heard a lot of things. So I'm sharing with you today some of the most common things that come up in terms of relationship issues in the bedroom and ways to actually resolve them, solve them. So we talked about a wandering mind. We talked about the emotionless man, or at least the theory, right? The philosophy that men don't have emotions. And now we are on to initiation frustration. Oh my goodness. How many times have you been in a situation with your spouse, partner, significant other, whomever, and somebody is complaining about initiating? They are tired of being the one that has to initiate all the time. Oh my goodness. So if one person thinks that the other doesn't get the good times rolling enough, guess what can happen? Resentment. Here's my thing, rather than waiting on your partner to initiate and then feeling disappointed when it doesn't happen and setting yourself up for resentment and bitterness and all of that yucky stuff to set in, why don't you initiate instead? You're in the mood, you're feeling it, you want to do it, you initiate. You initiate. And so if you are on the other side, right? On the other side of this equation, understand that your partner's requesting that you start sex or initiate sex more often is really about desire. It's really about desire. And I don't want us to miss that because, a lot of times what happens is we're thinking the wrong thing. We're thinking it's the wrong thing. Like we're thinking that the person who doesn't initiate, I'm sorry, the person who does initiate, it's just like a hornball, right? They just want sex all the time. Oh my God, that's all you want me for. You just want me for sex, blah, blah, blah. So that happens, right? The person who's not initiating, oftentimes, they're waiting for their partner to initiate because they really just want to know, do you desire me? Are you craving me the way that I crave you? And they don't want to seem like the hornball or the one who just wants sex all the time. So we have to get out of our heads and stop allowing all of these false beliefs to ruin our sex lives. Have a conversation. Hey, I would love for you to initiate sex more. Why don't you initiate? Because they may have a completely different perspective. They may feel like, you know what? The last three times we had sex, I initiated. What are you talking about? Sometimes your perception is wrong. Sometimes it's just off, right? And it's not right. So you really need to have a conversation. I want you to initiate sex more. When you initiate, it makes me feel blah, blah, blah. Fill in the blank. Tell them how important it is to you, how significant it is to you, and what it does to you mentally and emotionally and physically when your partner initiates. Let them understand the value in that to you personally. Have a conversation so that they understand how important and significant it is. And then if you're the one who is not initiating, get to the root of your why. Why aren't you initiating? A lot of times it's the church folk that aren't initiating. A lot of times it's the women, it's the church folk, women, female church folk that are not initiating because they feel like somehow it makes them less than a woman, or ladies don't do this, or ladies don't do that. And so they've been taught to be pursued and not be the pursuer, and that ruins your sex life in a marriage. So there are times where we have to reframe and reshape our way of thinking and our thought processes, right? Because we've been taught certain things that may have been beneficial to us when we were single, but do not translate over into our marriage. So it's important that we're making that distinction between what we do when we're single versus what we do when we're married, okay? Because that initiation is so real, so important. That frustration is real. So make sure that you're having a conversation with your partner or your spouse and let them know that, if you want them to initiate more, you let them know that you want them to initiate more, and get granular with it. How often do you want them to initiate? And that goes back to, how often do you want to have sex? And then how do you want them to initiate? And for the person who may be struggling with initiating, have a conversation. Hey, this is difficult for me to initiate because blah, blah, blah. Give your spouse some understanding. Let them know if it has nothing to do with them, because many times that's what we do. We make that in our mind, we make that be the thing. They're not initiating because they don't want me or they don't desire me, they're not attracted to me or whatever the case may be. But just make sure that they understand the truth. And if that is the truth, then be honest. Be honest and have a real conversation about how we can shift that, how we can change that. Okay? But the most important thing is make sure that you're communicating, you're having these conversations. All right. Next common issue, working foreplay. Working foreplay. LaKeesha, what are you talking about? Working foreplay. Okay, so it's just a play on words, right? Right. Play, work, get it. So foreplay a lot of times feels like work to certain individuals who don't necessarily enjoy it. It feels like work. So it can be so frustrating if you need a lot of foreplay, but your partner doesn't, and they're ready to just skip to the main event, but you need a little bit more warming up. You need the pre-game show, and they just want to jump to the live event, the main event. Again, that's a conversation with your spouse to let them know that, listen, I need a little bit more warm up time. You know, I can't just jump to the main event. And talking about what works for you, what feels good, what you like, what gets you in the mood. And I've said this multiple times that foreplay doesn't begin in the bedroom, it begins outside of the bedroom. It starts as soon as you open your eyes in the morning with a good morning kiss on the forehead or cheek, with cuddling in bed before you actually get up and out of bed, text messages throughout the day, a phone call just to say, "Hey, I'm thinking of you." Um, putting a calendar invite on the books, right? If you use Google Calendar, if you have iPhones, your iCalendar or whatever, creating an event and then adding your partner to that invite, to that event, right? Those of you who use Google Calendar, you know what I'm talking about. You can invite someone when you create an event on your calendar. You can invite whomever you want. So inviting your spouse so they get an email that says so and so would like to invite you to sexy time or whatever it is, whatever you want to call it. But again, it happens throughout the day, not just when you get in the bedroom. But it is important to discuss also what you like when you do get into the bedroom to ensure that you're getting what you need and that the other person is getting what they need as well. So there are times where I know foreplay does feel like work, but it's like sometimes you literally got to take one for the team because this is what your teammate needs in order to have a good experience. Another thing that can happen with foreplay that can make it feel like work is if your partner doesn't touch the right places, they're not touching the right spots. So it's best to literally physically show your partner what feels good to you by putting their hand in the right spot. Or if it's not their hand, whatever it is. I don't know. Foreplay doesn't just involve hands, it involves all different other types of body parts. So, whatever body part is not in the right place, if you can physically put it where it needs to be, do that. Or if you have to verbally direct, whatever it is, do what you have to do. I want you all to know that it's so important that you communicate outside of the bedroom and inside of the bedroom. And when you are communicating something about your partner's performance, you want to make sure that you positively phrase it. Okay. Oh my gosh, I love it when you blah, blah, blah. It feels so good when you blah, blah, blah. I love it when you do this. I wish you would do that more. Okay. So positively frame it. Oh, I love it when you do this, but I like it when you do it like this and instead of that. Because what you don't want is for it to come off like a criticism or a critique. And you really want to encourage them to continue doing things that they're already doing, right? Nobody wants to feel as if they failed at something that they think they're winning at. So you want to be delicate. You want to be sensitive when you're having these conversations with your partner to ensure that again they know what's working and what's not working so well so that they can make the necessary adjustments. Okay. So again, it's all about communication. Everything comes back to communication. And I can't stress that enough because one of the biggest issues that I find with couples is it's just that they're not talking enough. They're just not talking enough. They're thinking something in their minds and it never makes it to their lips to be uttered in conversation. And it's no help. It's not useful to you or your partner if it's not being vocalized. Okay. So you have to communicate, you have to talk. So I just want to encourage you all to take the time to be open and honest, have those courageous conversations with your partner about what's working and what's not working. And if any of this resonated with you today, let me know. Let me know. Do you have a wandering mind? Are you a man that has been accused, that continues to be accused of lacking affection? Do you struggle with initiation? Is foreplay not going the way you want it to go, or you're not having enough of it, or whatever? Are these issues that are coming up for you? And I want to let you know that there's something exciting happening next month. There's actually going to be a master class surrounding sex next month. I want you guys to stay tuned and make sure that you are looking out for that because you need to be there. They're going to be some of the topics that we talked about today and even more. So make sure that you look out for that so you can sign up for that masterclass. So I didn't really have a lot of questions today, didn't really have a lot of comments. So we will pause right here and we'll continue. There's like a chunk left that I have for you that I will not have enough time to get through today. So I want you to tune in next week as I discuss the other half of the major issues that come up in the bedroom. And again, always drop your questions, drop your comments so I can address them. I want you all to enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and I will see you same time, same place next week. All right, have a good day, you all. Peace and blessings.
We're really excited about Foundation. It is a new group program where couples are gathering from all around the world twice a week, couples who just want to have a thriving, successful, amazing marriage. No really well-built house is built without a foundation. As a matter of fact, without a foundation, it can't stand. It would just crumble right into the ground. We are going to interview experts and other successful couples so that you can get a glimpse into the lives of other people who are doing what it is that you desire to do, who have and who are accomplishing what it is that you want to accomplish. And we also have over 500 videos available for you to watch of all of our teaching. Everything that we've ever done, every topic that we've ever covered will be accessible to you.
So guys, if this sounds exciting to you and if this sounds like something you've been waiting for, go ahead and just give it a try. We're literally giving away a 15-day trial for $1. And then after that, it's simply $3 a day. And so is your marriage worth it? Is your future worth it? Join the community today. Just click that button and meet us on the other side.